Um, I'm pleased to get to MC our conversation today. And before we get started, I want to give you a preview of where we're headed. So we're going to talk at the beginning about who Grow Montana is. What is Grow Montana's history? From where did Grow Montana arise? And what has the coalition accomplished in its years together? But the majority of our conversation is going to be in breakout sessions this afternoon, or not this afternoon, but towards the second half of our session today, where we're going to break everybody randomly into breakout rooms where we have some great facilitators. And we're going to talk through some probing questions around the future of Grow Montana and how a policy coalition can be most relevant to organizations that are working on food system issues, and specifically, how can we all work together, and what is Grow Montana's role in helping to develop a resilient, equitable, and healthy food system in Montana. So next slide, Minna. Great. So I'm just going to give you an overview of our mission and vision, and then I'm going to get to hand it over to Jan and Bonnie, who are going to talk about Grow Montana's history and what it's accomplished to date. So Grow Montana is a broad-based food policy coalition whose common purpose is to promote policies that support sustainable Montana-owned food production, processing, and distribution, and that improve all of our citizens' access to Montana foods. So we are working, we're a group of 20 or so organizations, and we'll see that list here shortly, but working together towards a food system that increases access to safe, nutritious, and culturally appropriate foods, improves and ensures fair labor practices, strengthens our rural and urban economies, enhances stewardship and protection of Montana's water, soil, and agricultural lands, and promotes regenerative, sustainable agriculture as a means of increasing resiliency, and finally supporting family farms and ranches across Montana. Great. And as I said, Grow Montana has almost 20 organizations that are working together to accomplish our work. And there are a handful of organizations that play an added role of being on Grow Montana's steering committee. And you will see from this slide here, if a name has an asterisk after it, there is some, that organization has stepped up to serve on Grow Montana's steering committee. And, but overall, a really diverse and strong group of organizations that are working together for our future, our current and our future food system. It is now my pleasure to get to introduce two folks who have been with Grow Montana for a very time and were helped to establish Grow Montana, and we're going to talk about what Grow Montana has accomplished over its time together. The first, Tusik, Center Director for Mission Mountain Foods Enterprise Center. And the second is Bonnie Buckingham, the Executive Director of the Community Food and Agriculture Coalition.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to start out with a couple of slides just talking about the history of Grow Montana. It was first established in 2005, really to advocate for state legislative policies that would enhance our food and ag system and economy, especially, as Amy was saying before. And it really has been a part of NCAT's Montana Healthy Food and Communities Initiative, based a lot on farm to cafeteria and farm to school. The Food Corps program was initially housed there, is now a national program. And Grow Montana has been a part of that, really offering up the policy and legislative support of these initiatives. Go to the next slide, please. Running this. And I just want to talk a little bit about our change process, learning from the ground, from on the ground work. And as you see in between each one of these, the research, barriers, policy solutions, change in policy, implementing the policies, you see that there's outreach and coalition building. And really that has been the basis of the success of Grow Montana. And there could be a number of different initiatives on different levels and at different places on this cycle, but always coming back to outreach and education and inquiry through our coalition and through building the coalition in order to be more successful. Next slide. And our criteria for choosing policies are written here, that they would have significant impact on our food and ag economy, that they broaden our base of support. As noted before, we're consistently looking to broaden support, build coalition, learn from those coalitions' input, that they appeal to common sense, that the policy will require resources that are actually available. And we realize we can't do everything all at once, but we can build our resources as we grow and could come back to things as we build the resources. Number 5 are likely to succeed. We really want to focus on initiatives that have broad support that can be accomplished and that have enough support to find a win. We want to politically unite rather than polarize. The food system is for everyone, and we need to find ways to build on what is most doable across the board, not just niche markets. And lastly, to promote sustainable economic development, which really has been and continues to be the mission of Grow Montana and our legislative policies. And I'm going to turn it over to Jan now.
Jan, you might be on mute.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. All right, I'll go fast now. Anyway, research and advocacy are very important to Grow Montana. We recognized very early when we started legislative priorities that we need to conduct good, solid research for the platform to build our legislative approach from. A good example is the Farm Institution study. That was a critical piece for us to start navigating the legislative approach to increase more procurement for our public institutions. So we've all through this, that cycle that you saw, there's often a reflective piece that we look at saying, what do we need to learn, and how do we best accomplish and get that information? Next slide. So one highlight for Grow Montana was Grow Montana actually had 2 summits. The last one was the summit in 2016 for the local food and agriculture. It was sponsored by the governor's office. And it was a well-attended, diverse gathering of people who really dove in and worked together to think about what are some strategies that we need to be looking at to really further and grow our food system in Montana. So the topical tracks, as you can see, were what are our challenges in manufacturing and processing? How do we create economic and health benefits for communities and building local food access? Our new generation of farmers is critical to increasing the supply chain for local food. We look deeply into resilience in agriculture, and then how do we grow businesses and distribution to move more of our local food around. this session took people into very, very focused working groups. An action plan was developed, which you can find on the summit website, on NCAT's website. And I think what is really important that we revisit that, and we look back and we see what was discussed and thought about, and continually hold that up and create the pathways that need to move forward to accomplish those actions, but also what are the new actions that we need to be developing. Next slide. So we did have legislative wins, but again, that wasn't the real win in my mind for Grow Montana. I think the summit and the advocacy that it built was an incredible opportunity for us to learn from one another and build a broader base for people to work together. But we did, and very early on in Grow Montana's history, passed the bill that allowed inspection of mobile meat units. And right now, that's a very relevant law as we discuss meat resiliency in agriculture and how meat processing needs to be addressed in our state. We have an incredible tool now because of that work. We created the Montana Food and Agriculture Development Centers, which last session expanded to 8 centers across the state. So, you know, very alive and relevant work that continues to grow. We created more flexibility for public institutions to buy Montana grown and processed food. We feel like this could have more growth potential. As you can see in the previous conversation today, we talked about a farm to school bill. How do we increase procurement? We have more flexibility under this law that allows us to do that. So we need to focus on that work and get more food into our institutions. And then lastly, the cottage food law was established and streamlined the existing retail food law for the state of Montana. So we have new opportunities for mobile and temporary food vendors, and now cottage food operations can operate in their home kitchens and sell directly to Montanans across the state. So really, to me, just some really good footholds for us to springboard from. And I will hand it on to Amy, who's going to help us talk about how we do that today.
Thanks, Bonnie. And that was a great foundation for our conversation. So as I mentioned, we are going to spend the rest of our session talking about the future of Grow Montana. What is the role of a statewide food policy coalition, and how can Grow Montana be most relevant to organizations, individuals, and to advancing a resilient, equitable, and healthy food system? We are super lucky to have some great facilitators who have stepped up to work with in these breakout sessions. So you're going to get to meet, well, some of you will get to meet Gretchen Boyer, Kate Burnaby Wright, Bonnie Buckingham, and Jan, who you just got to meet. And what we're going to do here is you will actually be randomly moved into a breakout session. And we are going to, in part 1, talk about the role of a statewide food policy coalition. And we have some guiding questions that our facilitators have for that. And then each of our breakout sessions has a note taker. And the note taker will be doing the job of sort of capturing the conversation that you're having within your group. And then we get to come back and hear what each of the groups talked about. So that note taker or scribe will be working with you to identify the most important points that you want to share with everybody else during the report back. And then we will jump back into those sessions. You'll be in the same groups, so you won't have to reintroduce yourself, which will be really nice. You'll have gotten to know each other already. And we're going to talk about how Grow Montana can be most relevant in developing a really equitable and healthy food system. So that's how we're going to work for the rest of our time together. We're doing great on time, and we're actually unless there's some questions, and I'm not sure I don't think I actually see any. We will have Minna move us into breakout sessions, and we'll just have a little more time that'll allow for introductions in that first session. So you'll have 20 minutes to talk through the questions, and then you'll come back to the main room and we'll get to hear from each group. Looking forward to hearing what you all discuss. So Minna, if you want to move us into our breakout, and we'll see you back here in a little over 20 minutes.
Perfect. And I just opened up the rooms, and you all should be able to join.
Minna, are we going to be moved there? I see us, so we're on groups, but oh, is it?
I think folks are slowly moving in.
Okay.
Yeah, our attendee list is dwindling.
Okay. So it's just you and me here.
It's just, yeah. Actually, it looks like we have a couple of people who are still behind, but
Okay, let's make sure everybody gets there.
let's see. And Amy, would you like to be assigned to a breakout group? I think you can also join as a co-host, whichever one you'd like.
Okay, well, I'll join and then I can move around, and let's make sure John and Linda get navigated to a room.
Okay, perfect. It looks like Linda might be signed on twice, so I'll just make sure to move this profile to the same one.
It looks like John hasn't joined. Maybe John had to step away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you, yeah. Looks like John was able to join. Sweet. So
Okay.
we have a mix
So
of
just
5 to 6 people
why
in
don't you-
each group.
okay, and Linda just moved in there. Okay, great. Anything you and I should talk about before I go and listen?
I don't think so. I'm just gonna make sure. Let me take a screenshot of these breakout rooms just so that in case I need to reassign them or something. But I think we're good. And just let me know if anything pops up.
Yeah, I think we'll give them the couple of extra minutes, and then let's stay on track with coming back at, I think it's 1:45.
Perfect. Okay. And I'll send out a reminder to all the folks at 1:40.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Let's see if I can. Maybe I'll join room 2. Oh, actually, I'm not sure I can join. How do I join? Oh.
Go in the toolbar. There's like but I can also assign you to one.
Oh, I see. No, I see it. Okay.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll join Robin's group 2. They seem a little smaller. Okay. Thanks, Minna.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Amy. I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh, I think you're muted, Robin.
Turns out if I'm in a breakout room, I don't see people trying to get in.
Okay.
Another piece of information.
Perfect.
You a host?
That'd
Go
be great. And I'm hoping that this won't happen again, but if for some reason my internet continues to not, hopefully
Yep.
it'll stay with us, but
I'm making you host, and I have my phone. Do you have my number?
I do not. Do you want to text, or do you want to?
Let me give it to you. Or yeah, let me give it to you. Let me give it to you. 406
Okay.
471 3284.
Perfect. I'll text you. And I think we're actually just about to
Yeah.
end.
Do you know how
did
to
I
go back?
did I make it in just at the end of a session?
Yes, but you'll be able to hear the report out. Perfect timing.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Min, I think I'll stay here. I don't know how to do. Can I go back?
I think, well, I just closed the breakout rooms because we, sorry about that, but you'll definitely make it back for the next breakout.
No worries. I'm supposed to report. I have no idea what I'm going to report.
Let me just.
Robin, you can just choose a couple highlights.
Yep, I will.
Yeah, thanks for saving me in the main room.
No worries.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to give everybody a second to turn. All right, I think we have everybody. We are going to take the next 10 minutes to report back from our group conversations, and you're seeing the 4 folks who are going to be reporting out for the groups. So I'd love to invite Mara to share the top 3 points that came out of your group's conversation.
Sure, thanks, Amy. We had a good conversation. We didn't get through all the questions because we definitely had some a lot to get through just in that first question. But what I can share out with what would we like to see from Montana's Food Policy Coalition, there was discussion around having concern about about land use and development and people coming in from out of state to develop our open lands, and there needs to be protections around that. Let's see. There was also some discussion about can Grow Montana or a state policy or a state policy coalition, can it function in a way at looking at state-based coalition, like finding models that are working well for certain areas of interest. So one example was CFAC and soil health, and using those models to provide resources for local and regional communities. And let's see. And I think that kind of is the overarching what we were able to get through in that first conversation.
Thanks so much, Mara.
Yeah, absolutely. I have more typed up, but it's a little,
That's great.
Messy.
Robin, you want to pull together and share a couple highlights from group 2?
Sure. What's Kim Mangold started us off by just clarifying that as we get to this, as we get there along with our policies and priorities, it's very important that we develop written strategies that cover specifically and succinctly for whatever it is we want to focus on, the problem, the solution, and the cost. Synthesizing everything down to those three components is critical when we get down to the legislative process and presenting things to the legislature. So keeping that in mind, when you move into policy, you have to put a price tag on it to push it through. And another piece that came up is, Grow Montana has a legislative focus, and a question and an invitation for a visioning process is, what should a food system, a sustainable, effective food system look like? And how can we come together to help create the vision of that effective food system that could then help us inform ourselves on the policies to pull out of that and make that possible. So some invitation to some visioning work for the whole picture. And part of that would include getting a better handle on the benefits, including the financial benefits at a multiplier effect of greater access and production of local food in our state. And then another point that came up was, in addition, we work a lot with the legislature, and the question came up, what are our opportunities of working with agencies or at the federal level? There are lots of other areas, in terms of governmental participation where we might be able to have an impact. And the response to that was, it's very important to form those relationships. Forming those relationships long-term on an ongoing basis are critical for building trust over time and maintaining the relationships with the authorities over policy, which are the agency people, are critical. And understanding that every bill is assigned to an agency. So the more relationships we can build at the agency level, the more effective we can be in getting our interests heard. In addition,
Thanks.
hold the long.
Robin, I might cut you off there. It sounds like your group had a great conversation. Thank you for reporting out. Just in the 4 minutes we have left, I'd love to share that between Sarah, who's going to report on group 3, and then Ty, who's going to report on group 4. So what were your conversations, Sarah, about the role of a statewide policy coalition?
Yeah, we really kind of focused on 3 things in our conversation. We talked about building capacity within the coalition, also elevating like educational and training programs and outreach, and then also that more like media related outreach piece. So staying relevant in between legislative sessions, really getting in front of the public. We discussed different ways and ideas around doing that and connecting communities with those food access work stories. And then we also touched on like COVID related pivots and producers. And yep, I think that pretty much covers the highlights from us.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Ty, you want to wrap us up?
Sure. Thanks, Amy. So our group, with respect to the first question, we talked a lot about communication as well. We discussed that we'd love to see an increased capacity for communication and developing some sort of process through which we might reach a consensus among coalition members. We also noted that Grow Montana is a pretty fantastic entity already, and it's an important organization that really serves as a voice for many of the smaller entities who may not have the capacity to work on things like policy at the legislature. There's, for instance, Tom, who represents the Yellowstone Valley Food Hub in the Billings areas. They're a very small group. So Grow Montana serves as sort of the legislative vehicle that some smaller groups like that can't go after. So there's really just an emphasis on continuing to do that. Also, Steve, I'm gonna not do this justice, but had a really great point on focusing on the resiliency of the food system and also tying that message to economic development and making sure that was a really important component of Grow Montana's work. Since I've got really not a lot of time here, I'm just gonna jump to the last question and just say that we talked about making sure that we take advantage of COVID, that, COVID presents an opportunity for us to take advantage of a consumer base that's really become hyper aware of the food system now, and perhaps the shortcomings of the food system. And so, based off that, ensuring that, we're building connections among producers and consumers and making sure that they're all conscious of these issues. And then also on sort of a parallel path, facilitating strategic research so that maybe Grow Montana can be some sort of research hub. And to some extent, we're already doing that. So that's it.
Thanks, Ty. I love the diversity of these conversations. We started with open lands and the need to protect agricultural lands, talked about, some groups talked about building capacity, the need for communications about the importance of our food system, the role of our food system, and being a voice for smaller organizations who don't have that capacity. Sounds like you all had great conversations. And thank you for reporting out, Mara, Robin, Sarah, and Ty. We are going to move into our second session. We're going to go back into the same groups, which will be nice. So you'll have already gotten to meet your team. And we're really going to talk about, now that we talked about like what is our first conversation was really about the role of a statewide food policy coalition. And this conversation is about how can Grow Montana be most relevant in the years to come. So think about that through whatever hats you wear. And I'm confident our facilitators will do a great job of stewarding that conversation. And we'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, are we in a group together?
I think I'm in the wrong group.
I think you guys are still in the main room. There should be a breakout option that comes up. Joanna,
I think happened.
I haven't been assigned to one yet.
Yeah, that's great. Let me just pop you into room.
Put her into Kate's room. Kate has a small room.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Assigned to room 2. Awesome. And then Amy, would you like to stay in the same room that you were in, or?
I'm going to stay with you for a second before I move
perfect.
in.
And then
Looks like we need to help John and Tom move.
Let's see.
Tom's in Ty's group, which is group 4.
Great. Tom is assigned. I think they just need to accept the breakout room invitation and then should be good to go. I'm not sure. I think, is this person John? For some reason, the names don't pop up on my screen under the video. But
oh, that's interesting. It looks like John, I'm seeing his video. It looks like he's maybe left
yeah,
the
it
room.
looks like
I don't,
he's on the phone.
Okay, and I don't know about Tom.
Okay. Perfect. Sometimes folks, I think, step away from the computer. Okay. Awesome. Well,
yeah, I think I'm going to move rooms. I'm going to look at the rooms.
So room 1 actually has 6 people, but Linda is just one person that's logged in twice.
Okay.
And I think room 3 is a bit of a smaller group.
Yeah, actually, why don't you move me to room 3? Okay. And then actually, I couldn't get back. How do I get back?
I think from inside the room, there's an option in your toolbar to say like return to main room. Okay. But if you want to also, if you wanted to come back, if you want to just Teams me or something, and I'll just make sure to like maybe just pull you back if for some reason.
Okay. Great. You can drop me in. Yeah.
The return.
Oh yeah, I can join. Sorry, I'll join on man. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Minna.
Cool. No worries. All right. Bye. Hi, John. Oh, I don't think I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Great.
Sorry, I'm running a phone line as well right now, so
No worries.
Where am I? Am I in a group?
Yeah, no worries at all. So you are still in room 3 with Bonnie, who's facilitating. So
I can join it, right?
yeah, you should have the option to just join the breakout room whenever you're ready.
Hey, Minna, you there?
Hello.
Hi. I'm coming back. I know you need to send out a warning signal actually probably right now. Actually, did you send a warning thing out? Because I think we're 5 minutes past warning.
Yeah, I sent out a warning at like the 10-minute mark.
Okay. I just got a message from apparently Gretchen is having some issues with one of her participants, Ken Kaling. He's trying to derail their group. She's muted him, but we should make sure to do so in the larger group.
Okay.
So I don't want to say that obviously later, but.
Sure. Okay, I just wrote down his name. I'll just make sure that we're all muted when we enter the main group.
Can you permanently mute somebody?
Potentially, yeah. Let me close the room so that everyone has 60 seconds here because we're running up on time. And then I'll figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Let's see. There's my timer.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a good second session. What I'm going to do is invite groups to report back, and we're going to start with, instead of going the same order, we're going to go the opposite order. So Ty, I'm going to put you on the spot and invite you to share some takeaways from your session.
Sure. All right. Well, I'll try my best. I'm probably going to be very unorganized, but just starting from the top with the first question: how can Grow Montana contribute to a statewide food systems vision? There was some discussion about, what can our state actually, adopt? Can the legislature adopt a vision? And we were talking. This ended up in a conversation a little bit about parallels in other states, in Vermont and Illinois, where the state has adopted a shared vision for the ag system. So we were thinking about, what are some ways that Montana could follow suit in that way. We also, Steve brought up a great point about thinking of a need to think broader. So much of the ag and food system here in Montana is impacted and influenced by what happens at the federal level. And so we were talking a little bit about the Farm Bill and federal policy, and does this mean that Grow Montana needs to engage with some sort of groups that are working at that level? That's I think that's an open question. We also talked a little bit about engaging state agencies and having a dialogue with them as a way to contribute to that statewide food systems vision. Moving on, as far as how can Grow Montana be relevant, we all felt that Grow Montana has been very relevant in its history. I think. That said, we did agree kind of at the end, actually, that there's probably an additional need for communication work and to get the word out about Grow Montana some more, because a lot of folks in our group didn't know about Grow Montana until relatively recently. And maybe part of that is because the group has been dormant for some periods of times. And so maybe that means we need to work together to find some collective goals during those interim periods when things get quieter. So between the legislative sessions. Other than that, how should Grow Montana and its partner organizations engage individuals who care about the resilient food system in Montana? We got into a conversation a little bit about membership structure, organization. How best do we communicate with groups and individuals. This section brought, I think, more questions than answers, honestly. And, you know, I don't think we came down on anything, you know, that came across to us as the answer. But I think, you know, a coalition for us is a unique cooperative group, and, you know, it's not necessarily membership based. But you know, this is probably just going to need to be an ongoing conversation between all of us. So anyway, I will stop there because I think I'm going over.
Thanks, Ty. Really appreciate your good report out. And next we are going to turn to Robin for group 3. Oh, sorry. No, wait. Robin's group 2. We're gonna go Sarah.
Yes, hi.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I would say that our kind of overarching theme of this conversation was, you know, getting more and different people involved with Grow Montana initiatives. So we really kind of went into deconstructing the barrier of those who are involved. So one way that we kind of started the conversation by talking about how we can define food systems and connect that idea to the public. So, you know, there's the focus on food security often, but then we were also talking about connecting, you know, that greater community, the people who are shopping at chain grocery stores, et cetera, getting them to buy in to these efforts. And with that, growing our capacity for local food systems work. We discussed some of the past initiatives of listening sessions and planning and soliciting like public opinion and ideas and priorities. We also kind of dove into the idea of collecting and connecting these kind of models and efforts around the state to cater to the diverse audiences that are, you know, geographically in Montana. So, and we kind of were brainstorming also on how to capitalize on that diverse nature of the state to relate to Grow Montana's efforts to increase local initiatives. So yeah, really that like education and outreach, those education and outreach pieces really rose to the top again for us.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And Robin, do you mind giving a report out for your group?
Nope. The loudest things in our group were Grow Montana is moving in the right direction, particularly in providing a hub for information and coordination. There's an incredible opportunity to engage the media, and Grow Montana would be a great way to help coordinate that effort. Making it relevant to our organizations involve things like working together to leverage funding. That's really important for small organizations and also for larger efforts. The opportunity for continued conversation on the evolving vision of what a sustainable Montana food system looks like. So keeping engaged on the bigger picture as well as the individual sections. And another area of participating in future conversations seemed to be around championing carbon sequestration.
Thanks, Robin. Appreciate it. Okay, and our last group, Mara, take us home.
Right. So for our first question, how can Grow Montana contribute to statewide food systems vision? We had discussion that some strategic planning for ranging between the next 5 to 10 years would be really helpful. And then also engaging in some short-term scenario planning as a coalition so that we can kind of look ahead if, you know, one thing were to happen, we would have a plan on how to handle that. We talked about reaching out to conventional groups and agriculture groups and reintroducing ourselves as a coalition because we have been dormant. and developing a communication strategy to kind of help get us back in the playing field. There was discussion about kind of in the short-term vision, what things could be focused on. Meat processing was talked about. And in terms of those short-term policies, once they're put in place, making sure that we're focusing on educational opportunities to go along with that. An example that was given was with the cottage food policy, there were resources and opportunities for food producers to engage with educational opportunities for that. And then we skip down to the third question. How can Grow Montana and its partner organizations engage with individuals? Again, the communications plan and really defining the individuals who need to be engaged. So like example, farmers, and making sure that we are hearing from those groups of people so that we are, that we're accurately hearing and serving them. And broadening our membership was talked about, that we've started to do that. But again, to just kind of, that will continue to help us as we move ahead. And let's see. And just like kind of one-off thing that was brought up was about how a lot of farmers went online with their sales this year, and that is not, online sales do not allow for SNAP participation, and so that was a big loss for a lot of the farmers, and also for the people who were trying to access those local foods. So just wanted to make sure I included that as well. And that's it. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Mara. And thanks to all of our facilitators and scribes. Really appreciate you stepping up. It's harder to participate in the conversation when you're facilitating, but it's so important to have great facilitation to support a good conversation. So thank you for that. We just have a few minutes. We've got 4 minutes before we're set to wrap up. And the first thing I want to do is just thank all of you for showing up today, for participating and jumping into the conversations. This question of what should our work at Grow Montana look like? How can we be most relevant to organizations that are working in the food system space is a very active one within the coalition. And we are really grateful for your contributions to helping us think through this. And we will very much be working through this feedback as a coalition, and just appreciate your contribution to this conversation and your contribution to our food systems work in Montana more broadly. We know that there's so many great organizations and individuals who are working in this space alongside our farmers and ranchers, and just grateful to have a small handful of you here today. So we want to invite you to sign up to get legislative alerts and further updates from Grow Montana. Minna is going to put this in the chat box because you actually can't link on this, I don't think, from your screen. So she's going to put it in the chat box, and it will take you to a Google form where you can, there it is, where you can put your name and email address and what you're most interested in. And then I would love to, in the final 2 minutes, turn this over to Robin, who is going to talk about one of the final Arrow sessions that will be coming up this week, or will be coming up on Wednesday from 1 to 2:30, a conversation about resilient food systems. So Robin, I'd love to turn it over to you, and then you can close us out.
So, okay, I just wanted to remind people and invite people to the launch of what we're calling a Resilient Food System Serial Summit. It builds on, it's modeled on the very successful and effective series that MOA put together to educate the community on, for a self-education process on meat processing in the state of Montana. And the idea is that we have sessions and we learn from those sessions, and as we learn, it informs what the next sessions will be. It's been quite effective, and the idea came out of our food access calls that to try to formalize. Now that we've been talking a while, we have a better sense of some of the issues and the areas where we lack knowledge. So I want to invite people to join that session from 1 to 2:30. The link on how to register is on the website. Min, if you have a second to grab it, that'd be great. Otherwise, you can grab it from the Arrow website. And I'm going to use the time to gather particular questions and that people might have that seem to be areas where we lack knowledge, and we're bringing people in to educate us would help move the system forward. One idea that came out of the morning session today was the idea of a series on what are the issues that impact effective veg and grain mid-level processing. And I welcome other ideas. So look forward to seeing people there. I'm complete, and I thank everyone for joining these sessions. They've been great, and really appreciate so many people joining the coalition.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Arrow.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and thanks for all that you shared and contributed today.
Good to see you all out there in Zoom land. Everyone.